Hello YouTube. This is Lachlan T 1984 from Melbourne, Australia, and today I want to talk about the iPhone 5S and my first impressions of it. I just got an iPhone 5S the other day. Here it is. Now this is my first iPhone. I've never owned an iPhone before. So I want to talk a little bit about this and my first impressions of it. Before I do that though, I want to talk about my history with mobile phones. The first mobile phone that I had was a Nokia 3310. Now this was back in 2002. I would have been about 18 at that time. That was my mobile phone for just over a year, maybe 18 months. I had that phone. It was not a smartphone, of course. It was quite a simple phone. It had, your fairly basic features like a phone book. It had a calculator, it had a unit converter, it had a stopwatch, a countdown timer, and some very basic games. Things like Space Impact and Snake and things like that. Really, really basic games, and of course that phone only had a black and white display, a very small black and white display. Smartphones were around back then. You had your Windows Mobile or Pocket PC based smartphones, and I think you had a few Palm OS based smartphones as well. You had your Compaq, iPac and various other things like that could be used as a smartphone. But of course those things were very expensive back then and not really used by the general community. They were mostly used by business people, really. But they certainly were around back then. I don't know when the first, Palm OS or Windows CE or Pocket PC smartphone was ever released and developed, but certainly by sort of 2001, 2002, there were a few out there. You did see them, just not commonly. But the 3310 was my first phone, and those phones were quite popular. That series of phones, the 3210, 3310, 3315, and a couple of years before them, the 5110, I knew a few people who had them. My mother's first phone was a 3315, and she got that about a year after I got mine. The 3310 was quite a well-known phone, and they were very durable. You could drop one of those phones and kick it around and it would still survive. They were very durable phones, and they were very easy to use too. You didn't have very many buttons, you just had your keypad, the menu button, the up and down arrows, and a few other buttons besides. You didn't have many buttons. And of course, though there were quite a few different features on that phone, features when everything, staying in contact with people was the thing back then, just to call people and send SMS messages. And of course, when I got this phone, that was during the whole, you could call it the SMS revolution, when everybody discovered that they could send short messages to one another, and people were doing it everywhere. They were just sending SMS messages like you would not believe. This was really when SMS just really started to, really take off in this part of the world. I don't know when SMS started taking off sort of in North America, but certainly down here in Australia and in other parts of the world, SMS really became huge sort of in, 2001, 2002, 2003. Everybody just started using it and sending SMS messages to everyone. You hear phones going beep, 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 beep everywhere, just because people were receiving these short little messages. It was such a big thing back then. And I was in on it too. I would send SMS messages to people, not as much as a lot of people did, but I certainly would do that. Now, when I had my first phone, I was on a prepaid scheme where I would have to top up my account every so often. That phone was with Optus, the Optus network here in Australia, which is one of our big mobile networks.
It's 7:45.
In early 2003, I found out about the Nokia N-Gage gaming phone. Now, this was quite an ambitious project that Nokia came up with. It was meant to be a mobile phone and the video game system rolled into one device. It was quite an ambitious project and quite an exciting project, but it really didn't do well in the marketplace, and there are a few reasons why. I don't really know them all, but I can certainly guess of a few reasons why. It wasn't very well received, and it just didn't gain the kind of popularity Nokia wanted. I suspect one of the reasons why this was because the games for the phone came on these little memory cards, multimedia cards, which were kind of like SD cards. And so you buy the game on the multimedia card, which was good, but in order to play the game, you had to take the phone apart to put the card in. You had to take the back cover of the phone and take the battery out to put the multimedia card into the phone. And this was a smartphone. It was based on the Symbian operating system. Like a lot of smartphones, when you turn the phone on, it would take a little while to start up, like say a minute or thereabouts. I thought the N-Gage was a fantastic phone. I was not too keen on phones with cameras on them, and in 2003, that's really when camera phones really started to become popular, and they really started generating a lot of talk and discussion about, cameras in mobile phones and the implications of having that sort of feature on a mobile phone. The N-Gage didn't have a camera, and that was one of the things I liked about it, because I didn't want to be carrying a camera phone around with me, because I thought they were silly. I thought they were a really silly idea. Now, I'm not a big gamer, but that's another story. I don't play very many. I do play some games, but not very often. But I won't get into that now. But I thought the N-Gage would be a good phone for me. Now, I had the N-Gage from 2003 up until sort of 2008, 2009. I was still with Optus prepaid. Now the thing with prepaid plans is you've got to top them up every so often. If you don't top the account up, what will happen is your account will eventually be terminated. I think with Optus they terminate your account after like a year of not topping it up. And I really was, and up until now, still have been a very infrequent, very light mobile phone user. I hardly make mobile phone calls. I don't really make very many calls on the house phone here either. I'm not a big talker. And so, my N-Gage really eventually fell by the wayside, and I just didn't use it very much until eventually my service was cancelled. And eventually it was decided that I would need to get another mobile phone. I was very much against having a mobile phone. I mean, mobile phones are wonderful when you really need them, but so many people carry them everywhere with me. And oftentimes I ask myself, is it really necessary for us to go everywhere and do everything with the mobile phone? Do we have to have mobile phones with us all the time? I mean, I'm old enough to remember when mobile phones were for the wealthy. Back in the early 90s, when only wealthy people had them, because they cost thousands and thousands of dollars. And they were very expensive to run, and not many people had them. I mean, I can remember a time when neither of my parents had mobile phones. My mum didn't get her first phone until 2003. My stepdad had a mobile phone before then, but that was not his personal phone. That was for his job. It belonged to his work. But, not many people had mobile phones of their own. Back in the 90s. By the late 90s, early 2000s, they were certainly really taking off. Sort of by 1997, 1998, most people had them by then. But, I mean, it's like, you've got to have a mobile phone with you everywhere you go. Is it soon going to become the law that everybody has to have a mobile phone with them? I'd like to hope that doesn't happen. But I was just pretty much against that trend, and still am to some extent. I just thought, why do we all have to have mobile phones with us everywhere we go? And so I reluctantly, in 2009, bought a new mobile phone, and it was this phone. This is the Nokia N-95. This is, again, it's a Symbian phone. These were also quite popular, sort of in 2007, 2008, 2000. Oh, okay, I didn't even realise it was on. Okay. These phones were quite popular. You know, they've got quite a number of features that people really liked. You know, music playback, video playback. You've got your cameras. You've got this sliding screen mechanism, and these were quite well-known phones for their time. Now, one of the reasons why I went for the N95, you're probably thinking, well, if you're such a light mobile phone user, why go for the N95? Well, I have a vision impairment. I'm not totally blind, but I can't see very well. I can see what's on the screen, but the text on the screen is quite small, and I have a lot of trouble reading that text. There is a screen reader for the Symbian platform. A screen reader is a software program that can take the contents of a computer screen and read it out aloud using computerized speech. And screen readers are typically used by people who are blind, or potentially even people who are dyslexic, who can't read or who can't see the computer screen, so that they can have information on the screen read back to them. There is a screen reader on this phone. It's called Talks. That's Talks. It's produced by Nuance Communications, and some of you will know Nuance Communications from products like OmniPage and Dragon Naturally Speaking. Nuance purchased Talks from a company in Germany who developed it. As Nuance seem to tend to do with a lot of their products, they purchase them from other companies and buy the licenses and rights for them. I can quickly show you the sorts of things Talks can do. I'll just have to start it up here. Bear with me for a moment.
Talks and Zooms Premium. Magnification tab options. Exit enable talks. Talks and Zooms Premium. Exit P2. Menu. Folder applications.
Okay.
11 of 12. 1. Options. 2. Exit.
I'm in my menu now, and so I can scroll through the menu.
Folder office. Contacts. Messaging.
And Talks is reading out the menus.
Calendar.
And it can, when you enter phone numbers on the keypad, Talks will read the numbers out to you as you type them in. It can read out your SMS messages. It can announce the characters as you type. That's the whole idea behind the screen reader, is that it reads the text aloud to a person who can't see the screen properly. Now, Talks doesn't come with the N95, you have to purchase it. And I don't know how much it is because I actually never bought it, I never got around to buying it. So what I have on here is a 10-minute demonstration version of Talks. After 10 minutes of use it stops working. It's just because it's a demo license.
Music player. My place. Gallery. Maps. Web. Download. Folder tools. Folder applications. Folder office. Select. Office. Notes. Select. Notes. No notes. 1. Options. 2. Exit.
I can try and show you how I would type a note using Talks. Just ignore that, that's the talking clock on top of the fridge. I can try and show you how to use Talks to enter a quick note.
Options. New note. 1 of 4. 1. Select. Notes. Text. 1. Options. 2. Done. Select. Delete. 1 of 2. 1.
No, we
Select.
don't want to do that.
Cancel. Notes. Text. 1. Options. 2. Done.
Let's see.
T. M. N.
Hmm.
Talks. Edit. And.
Oh,
Select. 2. Cancel. Notes. N. G. H. G. H. G. G. H. H. G. H. G. A. I. P. Q. R. S. This. G. H. I. P. Q. R. P. Talks. Edit. and
I'm
one.
not doing very well at this, am
Cancel.
I?
Notes P R I G H I P Q R S is A T D E P Q R S T test dot space space
And I can read the message back.
space
Oh,
space talks
that didn't work.
talks. This is a test.
Okay, don't.
This is a test.
And you can hear it reads the text aloud to me as I type.
Done. 7:56 a.m. This is a test. 1. Options. 2. Exit. Exit. Office. Back. Met exit. SIM card registration failed. 1. Okay. Okay. Suing 12/2013. 1. Messaging. 2. Audio message.
That will give you a basic idea
Keypad locked.
of what
1.
Talks can do.
Unlock.
There are more things that it can do, but that will give you an idea. Now, when I bought that phone, I switched from Optus to Telstra. Telstra is, I guess, the Australian equivalent of AT&T in North America. And again, even when I bought that phone, I was a very light mobile phone user, mainly because I find it difficult to do things like browse the web on that phone without Talks, because the text is tiny and I find it very difficult to see. But there were other reasons too, just because I'm just not a very keen mobile phone user. But, you know, and I heard about the iPhone in 2007, and because of my vision impairment, at the time I thought, no, the iPhone's not for me, because it has a touchscreen on it, and of course, being with a device with a touchscreen, you need to be able to see what's on the screen in order to interact with the information. And so, you know, it's not very easy for somebody who is blind or vision impaired to use a device with a touchscreen. Now, it goes without saying that Apple really shook up the whole mobile phone industry when they released the iPhone. Some would say they reinvented the phone, others would say it's an exaggeration, but they certainly changed the face of smartphones. You know, now all smartphones practically have a touchscreen, and few of them have keyboards and keypads on them. And that was another reason why I wasn't too keen on the iPhone, because I like a physical keypad with buttons that click when you press them. In 2009, when Apple released the iPhone 3GS, they introduced the VoiceOver screen reader on the iPhone, allowing someone who is blind or vision impaired to use the iPhone independently. You can control VoiceOver using touch gestures on the phone's screen, and that will allow a person who can't see the screen to hear the content of the screen being spoken aloud. And I thought, yeah, alright. Okay, that's cool, but I don't want one. But over the past little while, I've been more and more tempted to get an iPhone. But I've actually been debating with myself, should I get an iPhone, or should I just try and get the simplest, most basic phone I can find that just allows me to do things like send messages to people and make phone calls? I mean, you know, mobile phones these days can do so many different things. Not just calling people and texting them, but also playing games, taking pictures, recording videos, listening to music, downloading music, reading a newspaper, sending emails to people, playing really high quality games that are on a par with, say, the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3, etc. You know, doing all these things, recording voice memos and recording videos, and I said that, contacting people on Facebook, watching YouTube, doing video calls with people on Skype, preparing your meal, making your bed, tidying up your house, all these things. Okay, those last three are an exaggeration, but you get the idea. Mobile phones just do so many more things that they couldn't do previously. There's the cuckoo clock on the wall. And I just thought, do I really need all those functions and features? Do I really need them? And so I was contemplating, getting a very simple, basic, cheap mobile phone with a keypad and just a few simple features. But of course, those phones are becoming harder and harder to find, which some people might find quite sad, because there are some people, particularly, older people or people who are not very technically inclined, who just want a simple mobile phone that allows them to just stay in touch. I don't know what smartphones and mobile phones will be like in another 10 years, but they've certainly come along in leaps and bounds. And you've got your iPhone and your Google Android and Windows Phone now. But eventually I decided, look, why not take the plunge? Why not get the iPhone? Why not get an iPhone? Why not get one and see how you go? And so I did. Now, as I say, the iPhone 5S is my first mobile phone, is my first iPhone. I did think about getting the iPhone 5C for a little while because, I know the iPhone 5C is very much the same as the iPhone 5, and a lot of people think to themselves, well, why Apple releasing the iPhone 5C when the 5 is already out, and the iPhone 5C is just the iPhone 5 with a plastic casing and different colours. And I agree with that, but I think the iPhone 5C will be good for somebody's first mobile phone or first smartphone, if they're coming from a simple mobile phone or another smartphone platform like Symbian or early Windows Mobile, if you haven't updated your phone in a couple of years. But I decided I would go for the iPhone 5. I'll show you now how I use the iPhone 5, because I use the VoiceOver screen reader. Now, unlike Talks on the N95, VoiceOver is actually built into the iPhone. It's part of the operating system. It's not an app that you download from the App Store. It's actually part of the operating system. And it's on every iPhone from the iPhone 3GS onwards. Now, with Talks, you have to actually purchase it and pay for it. With VoiceOver, it's part of the operating system, so you don't need to pay for it. So, I can buy an iPhone and use it the same day as my friends who are fully sighted. And that's really great. Now, I can see some of the items on my screen on my iPhone, but when reading text, I really need to either enlarge the text or use speech output so I can read it properly. But I'll show you now quickly how I use VoiceOver on the iPhone. So, let me turn the phone on and unlock it.
8:03 a.m. Try again.
You'll see that I'm using Touch ID.
Calendar. Sunday, the 8th of December. Double tap to open.
Okay. Now, when a person uses VoiceOver, the gestures that they use on the screen are very different to the gestures that a sighted person would use. A sighted person would just see the calendar app on the screen and just tap it. But somebody who's blind or vision impaired can't see those icons. So they have to interact with the phone in a slightly different way. What you can do is, if I flick my finger across the screen, it moves the VoiceOver cursor in a very linear fashion across the screen, so it's an easy way to explore what's on the screen without accidentally activating an item. So if I flick my finger,
Photos. Double tap to open.
it moves the cursor to the next icon, which is for photos. Go again.
Camera. Double tap to open.
It's a camera.
Weather. Double tap to open.
There's the weather app.
Clock. Double tap to open. Maps. Double tap to open. Videos. Double tap to open. Notes. Double tap to open.
Now, you hear it say double tap to open. That means that I need to tap the screen twice quickly to open an app, because I can just touch an
App
app
Store. Double tap to open.
and it moves the cursor to that app without opening it. You might not want to activate the App Store. You might want to go to music and you don't know where your music icon is. And so you need to be able to find your way around the screen without accidentally activating items.
Camera. Maps. Clock. Maps. Notes. Double tap to open.
So if I tap the screen twice quickly,
Notes.
I'm now in. the Notes app. And again, I can use the same procedure. I can flick with my finger from left to right.
The 7th of December 2013, 11:17 a.m. Note: this is a test. I want to see if this works. Text field. Share. Button. Delete. Button. Compose. Button. Delete. Button.
I want to delete that note, so I double tap.
Alert. Delete note. Button. Cancel. Button. Delete note. Button.
Yes.
Note. Text field is editing.
So now, if I bring the phone up close to the camera, you can see the keyboard. Now that keyboard is tiny. If I were to use the phone without VoiceOver, I would struggle to use that keyboard. Now, I'm still learning how to use this properly. So, I'm not very good, but I'm going to type a quick note here. Now, as well as
Capital Q, capital W, capital A, capital R, capital T, capital Y, capital U.
flicking my finger, I can put my finger against the screen and explore the screen in a much more random fashion, and it's a bit quicker to explore the screen by dragging my finger across the screen. Watch what happens.
Note. Text field. Notes. 3 of 3 Wi-Fi bars. Lachlan's wireless network. Status bar item. Telstra mobile network. Status bar item. 2 of 5 bars. Signal strength. Status bar item. Telstra 3 of 3 8 nodes. Back 3 of 3 Wi-Fi 8:06 a.m. Status done. Button. 100% battery power. Status done. Note. Done. Button. Notes. Back button. The note. Text field is capital F. Capital Y. Capital T. Note. Text capital T. Capital T. F. G. H. L. O. I. J. A. G. F. D. S. Sierra. S. A. F. D. F. G. H. Ho. Space. This. D. R. T. Y. U. J. K. I. J. F. D. S. Z. Dictate. Space is Z. Shift. Triple tap to dictate. Z. S. A. F. F. C. G. T. Y. R. T. R. E.
Hang on, I
D.
think
Space. Return. Delete. T. A.
right.
B. G. D. E. W. A. Z. Dictate space. A. X. D. R. Y. T. E. Double A. S. F. G. Y. U. Y. T. F. C. Chuck space. Test. X. Z. X. C. V. G. F. U. I. O. J. Y. T. R. F. C. Space. 4. S. Z. Shift. Dictate. Thinking. Shift. Triple tap to enter caps lock. Selected. Shift. Capital S. Capital D. Capital F. Capital G. Note. This is capital T. Capital H. Capital U. Capital Y. Capital Y. U. I. K. I. O. R. U. Y. X. Z. Shift A. Shift. Selected. Shift capital S. Capital R. Capital T. Capital T. Y. H. Y. R. V. Space. Return. Delete. Y. H. I. India. Y. Note. UT. Capital Y. Capital U. Capital Y. Note. UT. This is a test for. Misspelled.
Yeah. This can be a bit frustrating. I'm trying to type this as a test for YouTube, but the cursor's gone into a funny place. Hang on.
Insertion point at end. Insertion point at start. Delete. Note. UT, this is a test for misspelled. Note. UT, capital Q, capital W.
Now, it is possible for me.
Note. UT, this is a test for misspelled.
You have various ways of, if you don't understand something that VoiceOver is saying, you can actually have it spelled out to you. And I just need to do that because I need to fix this.
Capital note. UT, this is a test for words, lines, speech rate, containers, headings. Edit. Typing mode. Edit. Note. UT. Select. Select. Select all. Select.
No.
Typing mode. Characters. Capital Y O U. Uniform.
Okay.
Delete. U O. Capital Y. Note. T. This is insertion point at end.
Okay. There we go. Let's try this some more.
More. Z. Dictate. More. Numbers. Shift. Selected. Note. T. Capital T. Capital capital R. Capital T. Capital Y. Capital Y. Note. Y. Capital P. Capital O. Oscar. Capital O.
Oh. Oh, that's interesting. I don't quite know why it did that. Oh, it's done it again.
Capital I. Capital I. Capital I. Capital I. P. O.
What?
P. A. S. D. Note. Auto correction. I. YT. This is space. Caput space. Insertion point at start. Capital I. Space. Capital T. Capital T. Tango. Capital T. Tango. Delete. Capital T. Capital space. Capital I. Note. This is insertion point at end. Shift. Selected. Capital U. Capital Y. Capital Y. O. O. K. U. Y. U. U. Shift. Selected. Capital T. Capital T. Y. U. U. H. B. B. E. E. Z. More. More. Period. Period. YouTube. Space. 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 Space.
So I've typed my note.
Note. This is a test for YouTube.
Now, I'm still in the process of learning how to use this iPhone, so forgive me if I make a few mistakes. I still have to learn how to use it properly. But that's a very basic, and I realise I'm not being very comprehensive here, but that should just give you, as a general community, an idea of how somebody who is blind or vision impaired can use the iPhone and what they can do with it. Now, of course,
Done. Button. Notes. Back button.
I'll just exit the note.
This is a test for YouTube. 8:13 a.m. Button.
So I can write little notes to myself, and I can do things like that on the keyboard. Now, you see that it's quiet. I took quite a long time to write that note.
Home button to the left. Portrait.
I'm still getting used to using the iPhone. Some of you may have seen the videos I uploaded of my friend Trent Wellard singing some Teddy Ruxpin songs. Now he too is an iPhone user. And he's totally blind. He can't see anything. He's actually very quick with the on-screen keyboard on his iPhone 4. He can do things very quickly. Typing text messages and what have you. I'll show you a few other little things I can do here.
Home. Notes. Double tap to open.
Now, I could send text messages to people, and sending text messages is very much the same procedure as sending a note. I can make phone calls.
It's 8:15.
Safari.
I
Double tap to open.
can browse the web on here.
Safari. Address. 90%. Button. Edits the URL.
And you'll see that we're on the Apple website.
Stop. Address. Button. Edits the URL.
Doesn't actually tell you what the...
Stop. Back. Button. Forward. Share. Bookmarks. Pages. Privacy policy. Back. Forward. Nelson Mandela. 19182013. Navigation. Navigation. iTunes. iPad. iPhone. Link. Apple. Visited. Link. Landmark.
I'm now browsing the internet on my iPhone using VoiceOver.
Store. Link. Mac. Link. iPod. iPhone. iPad. iTunes. Support. Navigation. Combo box. Combo box.
That's where you're typing your search query.
iPhone 5S. Link. List start. iPhone 5. Navigation. Reload. Button. iPhone 5S. Link. List start. iPhone 5C. Link. iPhone accessories. Link. iPhone 5C. iPhone 5S. Link. iPhone 5S. iPhone 5S.
Yeah, it's loading
Level
up.
2. Visited. Link. Image. Landmark. Features. Link. Design. Link. Built-in apps. Link. App Store. Link. Videos. Link. Tech specs. Link. Buy iPhone 5S now. Link. Navigation. Apple. Visit Store. Link. Privacy policy. Back. Button. Forward. iPhone 5C. Heading level 2. Learn more. You also get great apps for email from the start. Every new iPhone comes with better than ever versions of iPhoto, iMovie, GarageBand, Pages, Numbers and Keynote. So you can be creative and productive right from the start. You also get great apps for email, surfing the web, sending texts, making FaceTime calls. There's even an app for finding new apps.
There's even an app for finding new apps, and that's true. It's the App Store. I mean, yeah, so I can browse the internet on the tram going to work using speech output. Now, if I don't want to use speech output, I can actually enlarge the text on my screen, but I haven't learnt how to do that properly yet. So at this point, I'm going to be using VoiceOver.
Learn more. iPhone 5C. Learn more. Link.
We can follow
Apple.
that link.
Visited. Link. Landmark. Web page loaded. Navigation. Store. Mac. Link. Banner. One of the best things about buy iPhone 5 tech specs. Videos. App Store. Video. Text. Buy iPhone banner. One of the best things about an iPhone is everything you can do with it. Heading level 1. Image. Checking for your flight. Make a movie in minutes from your home videos. Set your alarm so you can catch the sunrise. With lots of great Apple designed apps built in, and more you can download free from the App Store, you'll run out of daylight before you run out of things to do with your iPhone. Heading level 3.
So true.
Main. Camera. Heading level 2. Image. The 8-megapixel iSight camera lets you take beautiful photos, even in low light. Create epic panorama images. Shoot in square format. And apply 8 filters. Learn more about the iSight camera. Link. Photos. Heading level 2. Swipe through images grouped automatically into moments and collections, or view them as a slideshow. Post pictures to Facebook. And share specific shots with a group of friends using iCloud photo sharing.
Okay, well that gives you an idea of what I can do when I want to browse the internet on my phone, and I may start to do that more now that I have the iPhone with VoiceOver. I could of course do that on my old N95, but as I say, I never got around to purchasing the full version of Talks. So I never did it much. I did it a little bit, but not much.
Navigation. App Store. Link. Mac.
If that makes sense.
Home. Calendar. Sunday, the 8th of December.
And
Tap to open.
of course, being an iPhone, you do have access to Siri, and blind people can use that too. Wake me up on Tuesday morning at 5:52 a.m.
I can't set an alarm for more than one day ahead. Would you like a reminder instead?
No.
Okay then.
Alright, well I didn't realise you couldn't...
100% battery power. I can't set an alarm for more than one day ahead. Would Would you like a reminder instead?
And of course now I'm exploring the text with VoiceOver.
Reminder. Tuesday, the 10th of December 2013. Heading. Alarm. 5:52 a.m. Cancelled. Cancel. Button. There's nothing to cancel.
Right, because I said no and it was going to cancel that. I've just exited
Telstra Mobile Network.
from Siri.
Status Game Center. Double tap to open.
So that basically gives you an idea of some of the things that I can do. I don't have very many apps on here. I've only had the phone, as I say, for just under 2 days. So I'm still learning how to use it. On the whole, I do like it. I like my iPhone 5S. I think there are a lot of things about it that I think I could probably get used to using. I just have to actually motivate myself to actually really use the phone and really do things with it and learn to use it properly and all that sort of stuff. And of course,
Facebook.
I can access Facebook on my
Don't tap to
phone
open.
if I want to.
Newsstand. iTunes App Store. Passport. Compass. Settings. Skype. Set compass.
Here's the compass.
Compass. Calibrate. Location tracking on. Status bar. Hold the device flat for accurate bearings. 11 degree. 76 degrees, E. 65 degrees, ME. 55 degrees, ME.
As I move the
45
iPhone,
degrees, ME.
it tells
85
me.
degrees, ME. 335 degrees, NW. 336 degrees, NW. 25 degrees, ME. 111 degrees, E. 125 degrees, SE.
It sounded like
111 degrees, SE. Compass, 1 of 2. 150, 120, compass, 1 of 140, 141 degrees, SE. Hold the device flat for accurate bearings. 90 degrees, E. Compass. Double tap to open.
and of course I do have some music on here so I can explore my music.
Albums. Store. Button.
Here we are.
Albums. Heading. Now playing. Back button search. Search for all of this and nothing. The psychedelic verse. Best of. Ellipsis. Sire Furler. The best of jingles. Regurgitator. Bud will have blood. Art of war. Blue sky mining. Midnight oil. Bridal train. EP. The waves. California blur. Swirl 360. Chopsticks. Peter Coombe. Can't find yourself. Fun-loving criminals. Computer world. Craftwork. Decade. Duran Duran. Diesel and dust. Midnight oil. Do they know it's Christmas? Single. Band-Aid 20. 1 sub 5. Greatest hits. Do they know it's Christmas? 5. Greatest hits. Forever Faithless. The greatest hits. Faithless. It's only natural. Single. Lara and Emma Louise. Living in the background. Baltimora. Manula. Leveland. Monsoon featuring Sheila Chandra. Monsoon. Movement in Still Life. UK. BT. The music. The music. My friend the chocolate cake. My friend the chocolate cake. 14 songs. 53 minutes.
It pronounced that a little bit strangely. Sometimes it gets the pronunciation incorrect.
Mystery Girl. EP. Rudely interrupted. Newspaper Mama. Peter Coombe. Oil and Water. Evermore. Parachutes. Coldplay. Pornograffiti. Extreme. Random Access Memories. Daft Punk. Step Up. Original soundtrack. U2 Saints. U2 Saints. One song. 6 minutes.
Should be Utah Saints.
Visions. Jocata. One song. What You Want. John Butler Trio. One song. You Know It Is. Trent Wellard. 33 albums.
Yeah. I don't have very much music on here at the moment. I've got a lot of music in my iTunes library, but I haven't copied a lot of it over yet. By the way, this iPhone has 32 gig of storage on it.
Home. Calendar.
And it's the
Sunday,
gold model.
The 8th of December.
Now,
Double tap to open. Screen locked.
I'll just lock the screen for the moment. As you saw, I've got the Facebook app on there because I am on Facebook, but that brings up another thing that I do have to ask about mobile phones. You know, people use Facebook a lot, and I'm a heavy Facebook user as well. But now that we've got Facebook on our phones, it's becoming harder and harder for us to disconnect from other people and just have some quiet, private time to ourselves, and some people I think are going to find that quite difficult. Because there are times when we just need to disconnect from everyone and everything around us and just have time to ourselves, but that's becoming harder and harder to do now with phones like the iPhone, and I know some people struggle with that. I kind of struggle with it too myself. But on the whole, I like my iPhone 5. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to do some tests with the camera. We'll see how good the camera on the iPhone is supposed to be really, really good, really high resolution. So I'm going to do a few shots around the house with the camera, and I'll then include them in this video for YouTube. I realise this is going to be a very long video, but I will then make some shots with the camera, and we'll see what that looks like. As I say, these are just my first impressions, but my first impressions of the phone are quite positive. I do like it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm gonna do the videos now with the camera. Thanks for watching. Okay, now I'm recording with the rear-facing camera on my iPhone. I've not done this, I've done this very briefly. I actually used the camera the other day, yesterday, to make a video call with somebody on Skype. To me, the image quality looks pretty good. Pretty impressive. I'll just do a few shots of around the house here. Let's go. I've got the flash on the back of the camera set to automatic. And what is my computer doing? I don't know what my computer is doing. Oh, it's alright. It's just doing something. I don't quite know what, so just bear with me. As you can see, what I do is I have enlarged text on my screen here, so that's why it's all focused in and everything, because it's how I need it to be. I'll just exit from that. There we go. Of course, everything on this camera is very much idiot-proof. It's very automatic. Everything just happens automatically. So it adjusts its exposure and the focus automatically. I don't think there's any kind of digital zoom or anything like that on the iPhone, which is in some respects a bit of a shame, because some people might want to use a zoom. Now I've got the flash, I've got the light turned on, so let's go upstairs now and we'll see what that does when we go into a darkened room. If we go up here, there's my room, and if we come into the bathroom here, will the light come on? Maybe not. Maybe it only comes on when it's... I thought the light would have come on automatically when you go into a darkened room, but maybe it only comes on at the start of the video if you're in a darkened area and you start videoing in a darkened area. I don't know. Let's see what it's like now if I go outside. I'll take it outside and we'll have a look at what that looks like. Let's go through. I need to move this out of my way. Let's get this here. What is that? Let's put that over there. There's my TV and stuff. Let's go outside and just have a look. Beautiful day out here today. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now to me, this looks really good. Looks very good. The image quality is pretty amazing. I don't have iMovie or iPhoto on my iPhone at this point. I could download them, of course, for free because Apple has made them available for free for new iPhone users. I don't know if I will install them though. I think really I just like to use iPhoto and iMovie. Well, I don't really use iPhoto, but I've used iMovie before. I think I just prefer to use those on my desktop. just put this over here. Whoops, it's going to topple over on me. This is a very unprofessional video. I mean, compared to videos from people like, say, CNET or Pocket Now or Techno Buffalo, this is very unprofessional, but I'm not used to doing this sort of thing. I'm now using the front camera on the iPhone, and I'm holding the phone in landscape mode, of course. Just a couple of final notes there. You know, it's really amazing how mobile phones have progressed over so long. Over, you know, such a long period of time. I can remember when I was 18 and when I got my Nokia 3310, I was in the kitchen the day I bought the phone, and I was going through the different ringtones on the phone, and my little brother, who was about, well, he was only, you know, very young then, he goes, "When I'm a big boy, I'll have a mobile phone." Well, he's now a teenager and he has my sister's old iPhone 4, sorry. I mean, you know, everybody's got mobile phones now, and it's pretty amazing, but a lot of people I know struggle with that, as I said in my last video. Anyway, this is just a brief demonstration of what I can do with my iPhone and what I think of it and how I feel about it. I quite like it. Now I'm going to stop waffling and upload this video to YouTube. Thank you for watching, and feel free to leave a comment if you have one. Oh, I was right. Gee, that light is bright. It's so bright. I was right. It does. The light only comes on in dark situations automatically when you start the video. I was right. Okay. Fucking hell, that's bright.